Flames tear through the night as a barn burns against the Texas sky. A man watches from the shadows, his weathered face illuminated by the inferno. His finger traces the safety of a rifle while boots crunch gravel behind him. You sure about this, Cole? Once we start, there's no going back. The man doesn't turn, just keeps watching the fire climb higher. They crossed the line when they came after my girl. His voice carries the weight of violence held in check for far too long. Time they learned some lines shouldn't be crossed. The morning sun paints long shadows across the drought-cracked earth of southern Texas. A pickup truck kicks up dust along a lonely road, radio crackling with news about another border town falling under cartel influence. Behind the wheel, Ethan Cole switches it off, tired of hearing what he already knows. His ranch appears ahead, 3,000 acres of hard-won peace that's about to be shattered. He pulls up to the main house just as Javier, his ranch foreman, hurries over. The usually composed man looks troubled. "Senor Cole, they're back again. Third time this week, black SUVs taking pictures of the property lines." Ethan steps out, boots hitting dirt as his eyes scan the horizon. 20 years in the SEALs taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, they're screaming. Same vehicles as before? See. And this time they followed Sophie's school bus halfway home. Something cold settles in Ethan's chest. He'd chosen this place for its isolation, hoping to leave violence behind. But violence has a way of finding men like him. Get everyone inside before dark today. Tell Miguel to bring the cattle in closer to the main paddocks. And Javier? He catches the younger man's eye. Make sure Sophie stays close to the house. The day unfolds like any other, mending fences, checking water lines, the 1,000 tasks that keep a ranch alive. But there's tension in the air, like the charged stillness before a storm. Ethan spots the SUVs twice more, always at a distance, always watching. As evening approaches, Sheriff Raymond Carter's patrol car rolls up the drive. The old lawman steps out, looking grave. "Got a minute, Ethan?" They walk to the fence line, away from curious ears. Ray pulls out his phone, shows Ethan photos of burned-out buildings, ransacked homes. Los Lobos Cartel. They're moving north, setting up shop in every town along the border. Started with protection money, escalated. From there? Ethan studies the images, remembering similar scenes from his combat days. How close? Miller's ranch fell last week. Jacobson's the week before. You're next on their list. Ray pockets his phone. I've got no jurisdiction across the border, and these bastards know it. Best I can do is warn you. Appreciate it, Ray. Ethan's voice is quiet. Dangerous. But you know I can't run. No, I suppose you can't. Ray heads back to his car, pauses. They're not just thugs, Ethan. This is organized, professional, ex-military among them. Don't underestimate them. After Ray leaves, Ethan walks the property, checking sight lines, noting defensive positions, old habits, racing. He finds Sophie at the stables, brushing down her favorite horse. At 16, she's the image of her mother, right down to the stubborn set of her jaw. "Hey, kiddo, how was school?" "Fine." She doesn't look up. The black cars were back again, 2 of them this time. Ethan's hand tightens on the stable door. "You see who was inside?" "No, but they waited outside school for almost an hour. Now," she meets his eyes. "Dad, what's going on? Everyone's talking about what happened to the Millers." "Nothing for you to worry about." The lie tastes bitter. "But maybe stay home from school tomorrow. Help Javier with the new foal." That night, Ethan stands on his back porch, watching heat lightning flicker on the horizon. The weight of his holstered pistol is familiar, comforting. In the distance, coyotes begin to howl, a sound like laughter, like warning, a text from Ray. "They're coming tomorrow. Be ready." Ethan looks out over his land, remembering all the battles he's fought to find peace. Now peace itself has become another battleground. He heads inside, goes to his study, and opens a locked cabinet he'd hoped never to touch again. Inside, wrapped in oiled cloth, his old combat gear waits like a sleeping predator, Some men are born for war. Some find their way to it, and some, no matter how far they run, can never truly leave it behind. Dawn breaks harsh and hot. Ethan watches 4 black SUVs approach through his binoculars, their windows tinted against the rising sun. Time to see what kind of wolves are at his door. The vehicles stop in a cloud of dust. Men step out, 8 of them moving with military precision. Their leader is easy to spot, Miguel El Lobo Ramirez, his reputation for brutality well earned. He walks ahead of his men, a shark smile on his face. Ethan meets them at the fence line, apparently unarmed, but 20 yards back, Javier waits with a scoped rifle. Another 100 yards away, Sophie watches from an upstairs window, phone ready to call Ray if things go south. "Beautiful morning," Miguel calls out in accented English. "Beautiful land." "Private land," Ethan responds evenly. Miguel's smile doesn't waver. "These are dangerous times, friend. A man needs protection out here. We can provide that. For a reasonable fee, I provide my own protection." Now the smile shows teeth. "Ah, yes, the famous Navy SEAL. We've heard of you, Mr. Cole. Your reputation is impressive." He spreads his hands. But times change. Borders change. The world is not so simple anymore. My answer's simple enough. "No," Miguel sighs, as if disappointed. "You should reconsider. Bad things happen to stubborn men." His eyes drift toward the main house. To their families. Something shifts in Ethan's stance, subtle, lethal. Miguel's men tense, hands moving toward weapons. For a long moment, violence hangs in the air like summer heat. Then Miguel laughs, breaks the tension. "Think about it, Mr. Cole. We'll give you 1 week. 1 week to make the smart choice." He turns to leave, then pauses. "Oh, and tell your beautiful daughter Sophie that red is a lovely color on her. The dress she wore to school yesterday? Magnificent." They drive away, leaving dust and silence. Ethan watches until they're gone, his face carved from stone. Inside, his pulse is steady, his breathing calm. He recognizes this feeling, the clarity that comes with certainty. He's tried to live quietly, to be a rancher and nothing more. But some skills never fade, some instincts never die, and some men should never be threatened. The war is coming. And Ethan Cole is ready to show these wolves why SEALs are the apex predators. The week passes like a fever dream. Each day brings new signs of the coming storm. Ethan finds boot prints near the water tanks, fence lines cut, strange cars parked on distant roads watching. Sophie slams the kitchen door, storming in from school. Her face is flushed with anger and fear. They were there again. 2 men this time, just standing by their car. Everyone saw them. Nobody would even talk to me. Ethan looks up from cleaning his old service pistol. The metal gleams with fresh oil. "Pack a bag. You're going to stay with Aunt Sarah for a while." "I'm not leaving you here alone." "This isn't a discussion. Dad, I'm not a child anymore. I can help." The pistol hits the table harder than intended. "Sophie." His voice carries the command tone he hasn't used since leaving the service. "Please." She studies him, seeing the steel beneath his calm. Finally nods. 3 days. That's all you get. Then I'm coming back whether you like it or not." After she's gone upstairs, Javier enters through the back door. He's carrying a dead chicken, its neck twisted at an unnatural angle. "Found this. By the coop. Note attached." He hands over a piece of paper spattered with blood. Ethan reads it. "Time's running out, old man." That night, he walks the property with night vision goggles, checking his carefully hidden trail cameras. The footage shows what he expected, cartel soldiers mapping his ranch's weak points. Professional work, military trained. His phone buzzes. "Ray, got something you need to see? Miller's place, now." 20 minutes later, Ethan pulls up to the neighboring ranch. The smell hits him first, burnt flesh and chemicals. The Miller's prized Angus herd lies dead in the pasture, dozens of cattle killed with poison. Ray stands by his patrol car, face grim in the flashlight beam. Same thing happened at the Jacobson spread last month, right before they torched his house. Ray spits into the dirt. They're sending you a message, Ethan. This is just the beginning. They're testing me, seeing if I break easy. And if you don't? Ethan's smile is cold in the darkness. Then they'll learn what hard really means. Dawn brings more gifts. The ranch's main water pump is sabotaged, gears stripped and wiring torn out. 3 fence sections are down, letting valuable cattle scatter. The phone lines are cut. Through it all, Ethan stays calm, methodically documenting each act of vandalism while his mind catalogs weaknesses in their approach patterns. Javier finds him checking the backup generator. My wife wants us to leave, says it's not worth dying. For someone else's war. She's right. Get your family out while you can. With respect, senor, you saved my brother's life in Juarez. My place is here. Ethan grips the younger man's shoulder. Your place is with your family. I've got no right to risk your life. Some things are worth dying for, senor. Honor, loyalty, standing against evil men. Before Ethan can respond, his phone chirps. A text from Sophie. 2 men following me at the mall. Black SUV. What do I do? His fingers fly across the screen. Stay in public. Ray's on his way. To Ray, Sophie's being tailed. Mall. Now. 15 minutes later, Ray calls. Got her. She's safe. But Ethan, these guys didn't run when they saw me coming. They smiled, like they wanted us to know they could get to her any time. Something snaps inside Ethan, not with rage or fear, but with a cold, clinical certainty. He walks to his study, unlocks a hidden wall safe, and removes a satellite phone that hasn't been used in years. A voice answers on the first ring. This is Mitchell. It's Cole. Remember that favor you owe me from Kandahar? A pause. Jesus, Cole. Haven't heard from you since. What do you need? Everything you've got on Los Lobos Cartel. Personnel, operations, safe houses, everything. Give me 12 hours. Ethan ends the call, then opens his laptop. Time to see what his trail cameras caught. The footage shows professional infiltration attempts, except for one sloppy mistake. One of their men dropped something while checking the south fence line. He finds it just before sunset, a lighter with a distinctive Cartel logo. And on its side, a fingerprint in rust-colored dirt. Ray calls an hour later. Ran that print you sent. Got a hit. Miguel's second in command. Hector Ruiz. Ex-Mexican Special Forces. Real nasty piece of work. Any known locations? Jesus, Ethan. Don't do anything stupid. Just information, Ray. That's all. A long silence. Then, he drinks at La Rosa, downtown, most nights. That night, Ethan cleans his weapons while watching Cartel vehicles prowl his perimeter. They're getting bolder, testing his response times. Seeing if he shows weakness, Javier brings coffee, watches him work. They say El Lobo feeds men to his dogs, they say a lot of things about him. Most are probably true. Ethan checks his rifle's scope alignment. But dogs can be put down. A text from Mitchell. Files coming, but watch your back. These guys have deep connections. Federales, politicians, judges. They're untouchable. Ethan sends back one word. Watch. Dawn comes again, painting the ranch. In blood-red light. Ethan stands on his porch, scanning the horizon. In the distance, vultures circle something dead, probably more of his cattle. His phone buzzes. Sophie. Coming home today, don't argue. Before he can respond, Javier rushes up. Senor Cole, the barn! Smoke rises from the old structure, flames already climbing the walls. Inside, thousands of dollars in feed and equipment burn, and painted. On the door, in still wet red paint. Last warning. Ethan watches the barn burn, his face expressionless. Behind him, Javier nervously fingers his rosary. What now, senor? Now. Ethan's voice is soft, almost gentle. Now we send our own message. He walks to his truck, pulls out his phone, dials Ray. They just burned my barn. Christ. I'll send units. No. You keep Sophie safe when she gets back. I'm going to La Rosa tonight. Ethan, don't... He ends the call, turns to Javier. Get the ranch hands out. Things are about to get complicated. That night, Ethan sits in his truck outside La Rosa, watching. Hector Ruiz stumbles out at midnight, drunk and laughing. 2 bodyguards flank him. They're professionals, alert despite the late hour, hands never far from concealed weapons. Ethan follows them 3 blocks before they notice. By then, it's too late. The first guard goes down silently, choked unconscious in an alley. The second reaches for his gun but finds himself face down on the pavement, arm dislocated. Hector tries to run, gets 2 steps. Ethan's voice cuts through the darkness. "You burned my barn. Go to hell, gringo. You first." What happens next takes 12 minutes. When it's over, Hector's face is swollen, his nose broken. But he's talking. Names, locations, plans. Ethan leaves him zip-tied behind the bar, unconscious but alive. On his forehead, written in marker, "First warning." He drives home as false dawn breaks, hands steady on the wheel. In his pocket, a phone full of cartel intelligence. In his mind, the beginnings of a plan. The war they wanted. They're about to get it, and God help any wolf that threatens what's his. Miguel stands in his compound across the border, studying crime scene photos from La Rosa. His finger traces the message left on Hector's forehead. Behind him, his lieutenant shifts nervously. "He's making this personal, Jefe." Miguel crumples the photos. "No, he's making it interesting." He turns, eyes gleaming. "Send everyone. Burn it all." Back at the ranch, Ethan works quickly. The intel from Hector revealed 3 cartel supply routes through his land. Time to shut them down. He checks his watch. Sophie's safely at school, protected by raised deputies. Now he can work. The first cache is hidden in an abandoned well 2 miles south. Ethan approaches low and fast, using the terrain for cover. 2 guards, both armed, both dead before. They can radio for help. Inside the well, he finds weapons, drugs, and a ledger of payments to local officials. He's photographing the ledger when his phone vibrates. A text from Javier. "They're coming. At least 20 men." Ethan quickly rigs the weapons cache with C4, then moves to high ground. Through his scope, he counts 4 vehicles approaching his ranch. Men with assault rifles pour out, taking up tactical positions. His phone buzzes again. "Ray, got Sophie. She's safe at the station." Ethan clicks his detonator. The weapons cache explodes, drawing the cartel's attention south. While they're distracted, he circles behind them, picking his targets. The first 2 go down silently, knives in the dark. The third manages a short burst of gunfire before falling. Then chaos erupts. The cartel soldiers are professional, but they're fighting blind while Ethan moves like a ghost through terrain he knows intimately. He catches fragments of their radio chatter. "Where is he?" "Can't see." "Man down in Sector 4. A bullet creases his arm, but he barely feels it. 20 years of combat experience take over. He becomes death in the gathering dark, striking and vanishing, letting fear do half his work. Then he hears engines approaching. Reinforcements. Time to disappear. He makes it back to the house just as his phone rings. Miguel's voice, smooth as silk. "Impressive show, Mr. Cole, but now you've made me look bad, and that cannot stand. Coming after my family was your mistake." "Family?" Miguel laughs. "You have no idea what family means. Let me educate you." The line goes dead. Moments later, Ethan's security cameras show new vehicles approaching. Not gun trucks this time. Construction vehicles. Bulldozers. They start at the outer fields, methodically destroying everything in their path. Fences torn down. Cattle scattered. Generations of work reduced to ruin. Ethan watches through his rifle scope, forcing himself to stay calm, to think. Miguel wants him angry, wants him making mistakes. His phone rings again. "Ray." "Jesus Christ." "Ethan, I just got word. They're hitting everyone who works for you. Javier's house is burning. His family got out in time, but..." A cold certainty settles over Ethan. "Get me everything you have on Miguel's operation. Everything." This isn't a war you can win alone. Watch me. He spends the night in his workshop preparing. Old skills resurface like muscle memory. Improvised. Explosives. Tripwires. Tools of a trade he'd hoped to forget. Dawn brings the sound of helicopters, Black Hawks, flying low over his property. Not military. These are cartel birds bought with drug money. They're surveying, looking for weaknesses. Ethan's. Phone lights up with a video message. It shows Sophie at school yesterday, filmed through a sniper scope. Then Javier's wife shopping. Ray's home. Everyone he cares about watched and targeted. Another message follows. Midnight, the old church, come alone or they all die. Ethan forwards everything to Ray, then begins gathering gear. Body armor, weapons, night vision. He's checking his magazines when Sophie calls. Dad? They burned down Javier's house. I know, sweetheart. Stay with Ray. This has to stop. It will. He pauses. I love you, Sophie. Dad? What are you going to do? What needs doing? He ends the call, then pulls up satellite imagery of the old church. 3 likely sniper positions, multiple escape routes. The cartel will have men covering all of them. Good. That means they're predictable. The sun sets blood red over his ruined land. In the growing dark, Ethan moves like a shadow through the destruction. 2 cartel scouts die silently, their radios. Now feeding him misinformation. By 10, he's in position near the church, watching their security pattern. Miguel's men are good, but they're looking for a frontal assault. They don't expect someone who can ghost through their lines. At 11, their perimeter shifts, creating a gap. Ethan slips through it like smoke. Inside the church, he rigs surprises. Old tricks from Afghanistan, places you don't expect death to hide. Midnight approaches. Ethan kneels in the darkness, checking his weapons one last time. In his ear, radio. Chatter tells him Miguel is coming. Around him, the old church creaks and settles. His phone buzzes. A text from Sophie. I love you too, Dad. He allows himself one moment of softness. Then it's gone, replaced by the cold clarity of combat. Miguel wants to see what kind of man he's dealing with? Time to show him what a SEAL can do when you threaten his family. The church bells begin to toll midnight, and Ethan Cole prepares for war. Moonlight filters through stained glass, casting colored shadows across the church floor. Ethan moves silently. Between the pews, every sense alert. The first of Miguel's men should be entering soon. Radio chatter in his stolen earpiece. Target location confirmed. Moving to engage. He allows himself a small smile. They still think they're hunting him. The front doors creak open. Laser sights probe the darkness. 4 men enter in a tactical formation, professional and careful. They're good, just not good enough. The first tripwire takes out 2 of them. The others respond instantly, but they're firing at shadows while Ethan's already moved. His knife finds one's throat. The last man manages half a scream before silence falls again. More radio chatter. Team 1, report. Team 1? Ethan clicks his radio. They can't come to the phone right now? His voice is ice. Send better men. A pause, then Miguel's voice. I'm going to feed you your daughter's eyes, old man. You'd have to be alive for that. The windows explode inward as rappel lines drop. 6 men fast rope in, night vision goggles glowing green. Ethan triggers his strobe lights, military-grade strobes that turn their enhanced vision against them. In the chaos, he's a demon of brutal efficiency. When it's over, he reloads, checking his watch. 3 minutes until Miguel's scheduled arrival, unless headlights sweep the church grounds. Miguel's early, smart move, trying to disrupt Ethan's timeline. But Ethan's already adapted, moving to his secondary position. The church doors blast open. Miguel enters with his personal guard. 8 men, all ex-special forces. They move with the confidence of killers who've never met their match. I know you're here, Mr. Cole. Miguel's voice echoes off stone walls. Let's talk business. Business? Ethan's voice seems to come from everywhere. You made it personal when you threatened my girl. A guard's head explodes in a red mist. The others scatter for cover, but Ethan's already changed position. Another guard falls, then another. Miguel remains calm, even as his men die around him. "You're good, old man, but I own this territory. The police, the judges, you're fighting a war you can't win." Wars aren't won by owning territory. Ethan's voice is closer now. They're won by breaking the enemy's will to fight. The church's ancient sound system crackles to life, playing a recording of Ethan's voice from another location. While Miguel's men turn toward it, Ethan strikes from behind. 3 more guards fall before they realize the deception. Miguel fires wildly, hitting nothing. "You think you can stop what's coming? I have an army." Had. The explosion rocks the church as Ethan's charges detonate at the perimeter, taking out Miguel's reinforcements. The stained glass shatters, raining colored shards like frozen blood. In the confusion, Miguel runs for the door, makes it halfway before Ethan's bullet takes out his knee. The last 2 guards rush Ethan's position. Close combat, in the dark. Bones break. Bodies fall. Then silence, broken only by Miguel's pained breathing. Ethan approaches slowly, rifle trained on Miguel's head. The cartel leader tries to draw a hidden pistol. Ethan shoots his hand, almost casually. "You don't understand what you're starting." Miguel gasps. "The whole cartel will come for you now." "Good." Ethan's voice is death itself. "Saves me the trouble of hunting them down." Sirens in the distance, Ray's men right on schedule. Ethan zip-ties Miguel, then places a satellite phone next to him. That phone has evidence of every bribe you've paid, every official you've bought. It's already been uploaded to secure servers. He leans close. "Now, you have a choice. Call off your men permanently, or that evidence goes to every agency on both sides of the border. They'll kill me if I back down. I'll kill you if you don't." The sirens are closer now. Ethan steps back into shadows as Ray's cruiser pulls up. Through his scope, he watches them find Miguel, watches the phone exchange hands. His own phone buzzes. A text from Sophie. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Stay with Ray until morning." He begins his exfiltration, moving through the town's back alleys. Behind him, more police arrive at the church. Above, a news helicopter circles the scene. Dawn finds him on his ranch, surveying the damage. Buildings can be rebuilt, fences mended. The land will heal. His phone rings. Ray. Miguel singing like a bird. DEA's involved now. "This goes deep, Ethan." "Is it over?" A pause. "Cartel's pulling back, but there's talk of a power vacuum. Other organizations might try to move in." Ethan watches the sun rise over his land. Let them try. "Jesus, Ethan, you can't fight them all." "Not looking for a fight, Ray." He checks his rifle, clean and ready, just making sure they know the cost of starting one. Later, Sophie returns. She sees the bandage on his arm, the cuts on his face. Doesn't ask questions, just hugs him tight. "The ranch hands want to come back," she says finally. "Help rebuild." Ethan nods, still scanning the horizon out of habit. The border shimmers in. The distance, a line drawn in dust and blood. His war isn't over, might never be over. But he sent his message. Some lines shouldn't be crossed. His phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "Impressive work, Mr. Cole, but Miguel was just one head of the Hydra. There will be others." Ethan doesn't bother responding, just adds the number to his list and goes back to rebuilding his fences. Let them come. He'll be ready. Heat ripples across the Mexican desert as a convoy of black SUVs speeds toward the border. Inside the lead vehicle, a man studies photos of the church massacre. Victory. Herrera, Los Lobos' second in command, now acting head of operations. "Miguel was weak," he tells his lieutenants. "Sloppy, this gringo seal. He did us a favor removing him." A pause as he lights a cigar. But now balance must be restored, and example must be made. Back at the ranch, Ethan supervises repairs. The DEA has been crawling over his property for 3 days following leads from Miguel's phone. He watches them through narrowed eyes, remembering similar suits in Afghanistan. Bureaucrats always show up after the fighting's done. Sophie helps the ranch hands rebuild fences, her rifle never far from reach. She's changed since that night. Harder, more watchful. Like father, like daughter. Ray's patrol car kicks up dust as it approaches. The sheriff looks exhausted, aged years in days. Got something you need to see? He hands over a file. Crime scene photos from south of the border. 3 DEA agents tortured and executed. New player making his move. Victor Herrera makes Miguel look like a choir boy. Ethan studies the photos, notes the precision of the kills, the professional methodology. Military background? Ex-GIF, Mexican Special Forces, ran their Black Ops program before going private. Ray takes back the file. Word is, he's got a personal interest in you, says you're bad for business. Just business? Apparently you killed his nephew at the church. Ethan remembers, the last guard, the one who fought like special forces. How long? Intel says he crossed the border an hour ago. Legal papers, diplomatic cover. Ray checks his watch. He's not Miguel. Won't come at you straight on. No. Ethan watches a dust devil spin across his land. He'll try to be clever. That night, Ethan finds a package on his porch. Inside, a severed finger wearing a class ring. Sophie's history teacher. With it, a note. The girl learns nothing without teachers. He calls the school. No answer. Calls Ray, who's already heading there. Gets Sophie's location. Safe at a friend's house. His phone rings. Unknown number. Good evening, Mr. Cole. Victor's voice is cultured, educated. I trust I have your attention. You must want to die. A laugh. Such American directness. No, Mr. Cole. I want to teach you about consequences. Your actions disrupted a delicate ecosystem. Now order must be restored. Order? Ethan's voice could freeze hell. I'm going to find you. Please try. But first ask yourself, how many more teachers? How many more friends? How long before Sophie's world becomes very small and lonely? The line goes dead. Ethan's already moving, checking security cameras, calling contacts. Ray reports the teacher's alive, minus one finger. Lucky Dawn brings more gifts. Photos of Sophie at cheerleading practice, at the mall, with friends, all time-stamped within the last hour. They're watching, always watching. Ethan drives into town, noting the tail vehicles. Professional work, switching out every few miles, maintaining distance. He lets them follow, wants them feeling confident. The local diner is busy with breakfast crowds. Ethan takes a booth, orders coffee, watches the watchers, 3 of them trying hard to look like locals. His phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Enjoying breakfast? Try the huevos rancheros. Die of food poisoning. He texts back, come. Closer. Die faster. Movement at the door. A well-dressed man enters, expensive suit, cartel tattoo barely visible at his collar, slides into Ethan's booth. Mr. Cole, I'm authorized to make you an offer. Not interested. $5 million, a new identity, somewhere far from here. The man smiles. Or we take everything, piece by piece, day by day. Ethan sips his coffee. Tell Victor he's not as smart as he thinks. No? The man's smile widens. Check your phone. New message. Video of Sophie at school. Timestamp right now. That's not possible. She's with Ray. Is she? Ethan's already calling Ray. No answer. Calls Sophie. Straight to voicemail. The man stands. 1 hour, Mr. Cole. The money, or... His words cut off as Ethan's coffee cup smashes into his throat. The other cartel men reach. For weapons, but they're too slow. Too obvious. Ethan's gone before the first gun clears leather. He drives like hell to the school mind racing. Victor's people are inside. Had to be inside to get those shots. Which means he squeals into the parking lot, runs past startled teachers, finds Sophie's classroom. Empty. A janitor approaches, looking nervous. Mr. Cole, they said to give you this. Hands over a phone. It rings immediately. Victor. Very good, Mr. Cole. But did you really think we'd keep her there? The girl's quite safe, for now. Shall we discuss terms? Terms? Ethan's voice is terrifyingly calm. Let me give you terms. Return her unharmed in the next hour, and I'll kill you quickly. Laughter. You Americans. Always thinking you can solve everything with violence. Not everything, just you. He ends the call, dials Mitchell, needs satellite coverage. Everything you've got on Victor Herrera's operations. Now. Jesus, Cole. That's a lot of favors. They have Sophie. Silence. Then, give me 10 minutes. Ethan heads for his truck, already planning. Victor's smart, but he's arrogant. Thinks he's dealing with a simple rancher who got lucky against Miguel. Time to show him what a SEAL father can really do. His phone buzzes. Mitchell sending coordinates. Multiple properties tied to Victor's organization. Safe houses, warehouses, command centers. One by one, they're about to burn, and God help anyone standing in his way. Ethan stands in his weapons room, methodically preparing, each motion precise, economical. No wasted movement, no wasted thought. He checks his phone. Mitchell's intel keeps flowing. 5 potential locations where they might hold Sophie. Ray bursts in, face tight with worry. Got 3 dead cartel soldiers at a gas station outside town. Witnesses say they just dropped. No sound, no warning. 4 dead. Ethan doesn't look up from his gear. The 4th's in the trunk of their car. He took longer to talk. Jesus Christ. Ray runs a hand through his hair. What did you learn? They're moving her south. Victor's compound. He checks his watch. I've got maybe 4 hours before they cross the border. That compound's a fortress, Ethan. Private army. Air defense. You'll never get close. Now, Ethan looks up and something in his eyes makes Ray step back. Watch me. His phone rings. Victor. I hope you're not planning anything foolish, Mr. Cole. The girl remains unharmed, but that can change. Put her on. A pause, then Sophie's voice. Dad, don't give them anything. I'm not worth... The line cuts off. Victor returns. Brave girl, like her father. Now, about my terms, new terms. Ethan's voice is death-given form. I'm coming for her. Nothing you build, nothing you buy, nothing you threaten will stop that. And when I find you, he lets the silence stretch. You'll what? Kill me? Like you killed Miguel? Victor laughs. I am not some street thug. I have an army. No. You have targets. Ethan ends the call. Checks his tactical display. Mitchell's satellite feed shows convoy movement. They're taking her along Highway 16 toward the border. Time to hunt. The first ambush point is perfect. Narrow road, high ground on both sides. Ethan sets up with a clear view of the approach. Through his scope, he counts vehicles. 3 SUVs, professionally spaced. Lead car running electronic countermeasures. They're good. He's better. The first vehicle dies quietly, precision shots through the engine block. As it slows, the others fan out into textbook defensive positions. Weapons appear at windows. They're expecting a frontal assault. Instead, they get whispers in the dark. The backup teams never see him coming. One by one, the perimeter guards go. Quiet. No radio warnings. No chances to raise alarm. Ethan moves like a ghost through their formation. Each kill is silent, efficient. These aren't Miguel's thugs. They're trained soldiers. But they've never fought someone like him, never faced a father hunting for his child. He reaches the lead vehicle. Sophie's not there. His phone buzzes. Victor. Again? Did you really think I'd send her with the decoy convoy? Ethan's already moving, already adapting. No, just needed to prove I could reach them. Wherever you put her. A moment of silence. Then, you're beginning to annoy me, Mr. Cole. Good. Mitchell's intel updates. Movement at a private airfield 20 miles south. Satellite shows a Gulf Stream being prepped for takeoff. Ethan drives like hell, mind calculating angles, approaches. The airfield security is cartel grade. High walls, armed patrols, radar coverage. They're expecting him to hit hard, to come in hot. Instead, he parks 2 miles out, changes into a maintenance uniform, walks right through the front gate with falsified credentials, another gift from Mitchell. The guards are alert, professional. They're watching for threats. But sometimes the best camouflage is being exactly where you're supposed to be. He finds Sophie in the terminal's private lounge. 4 guards, all ex-military by their stance. Victor stands by the window watching the Gulf Stream fuel up. I told you she was safe. Victor doesn't turn. Now, about my offer, counter-offer. Ethan's voice makes Everyone spin, weapons rise. Let her go, and some of you live. Victor smiles. Impressive, but foolish. He gestures to his men. Kill him. What happens next seems impossible. Ethan moves like liquid death, each motion flowing into the next. The first guard's weapon is twisted away, used to kill the second. The third manages to fire, hits nothing but air as Ethan rolls, producing a knife from nowhere. The fourth guard is good. Special forces, good. They grapple, trading killing blows that mostly miss. Mostly. When it ends, Ethan stands alone. Victor backs away, reaching for a concealed pistol. Too slow. The gun goes flying. Victor's wrist breaks with a sharp crack. "Dad!" Sophie runs to Ethan, but he keeps her behind him, weapon trained on Victor. "It's not that simple," Victor gasps, cradling his wrist. "You have no idea what you're starting. The people I work for, the power they have, had." Ethan's phone chirps. Mitchell's message is brief. All Victor's accounts frozen. Evidence sent to FBI, DEA, Mexican authorities. They're moving on his operation now. Victor sees something in Ethan's eyes. Real fear blooms on his face. "Wait, we can—" A single shot ends the conversation. Afterward, in the car, Sophie is quiet for a long time. Finally, "Is it over?" Ethan checks his mirrors. No tails. "For now? They'll send others, won't they?" "Maybe." He reaches over, squeezes her hand. "But they'll learn." His phone buzzes. Ray. Border Patrol found Victor's backup team. All dead. Professional work. Ethan doesn't respond, just drives toward home, toward their land. The sun sets behind them, painting the sky in colors of fire and blood. Some wars end, others just reach a pause between battles. But Ethan Cole will be ready. For whoever comes next, for whatever it takes to keep his family safe. 3 weeks later. The ranch is quiet in the pre-dawn light. Ethan sits on his porch, cleaning his rifle while scanning the horizon. Old habits. The land is healing, new fences up, buildings repaired, but the scars remain. His phone buzzes. Mitchell. Got movement you should know about. Cartel's regrouping. New leadership. Victor's second in command? No. Someone outside the organization, called El Coyote, real name unknown, ex-CIA Black Ops. Disappeared off the grid 10 years ago. Ethan sets down his rifle. How bad? He's gathering forces, but different approach. More subtle. Been buying up land around your ranch through shell companies, building something big. Inside, Sophie comes. Downstairs for breakfast. She moves differently now, checking corners, staying away from windows. The kidnapping changed her, made her harder. Ray's patrol car appears on the horizon. Bad news comes early these days. Found this at the station. Ray hands over a manila envelope. Inside, surveillance photos. Sophie at school. Ethan at the ranch. Time stamped yesterday. They're still watching. Different watchers. Professional. Military-grade equipment. Ray lowers his voice. El Coyote's people. They're not just watching you. They're studying you. Ethan's phone rings. Unknown number. Mr. Cole. The voice is cultured, American. I think it's time we talked. Who is this? Someone who admires your work. Miguel was a thug. Victor was ambitious but limited. You did us a favor removing them. Us? Let's just say I represent interested parties. People who see potential in your territory. Not interested. A chuckle. Mr. Cole, you're thinking too small. This isn't about protection money or drug routes. This is about the future. Development. Infrastructure, progress, on my land, around it, through it. We're building something bigger than your ranch, bigger than the cartel. The smart play is to work with us. And if I don't, then progress finds another way. It always does. A pause. Ask yourself, how many more fights can you win? How long before Sophie pays the price for your stubbornness? The line goes dead. Ethan stares at the phone, mind working. Ray watches him. El Coyote? Sounds like it. Ethan stands, scanning the horizon again. Get me everything you can on recent land purchases around here. The day unfolds with deceptive normalcy. Sophie goes to school with a new security detail, ex-military men Ethan trusts. The ranch hands work the fence lines, armed now and watching. Ethan drives into town, noting subtle changes. New businesses opening, construction projects, money flowing in from somewhere. His phone buzzes. Mitchell again. Found something. El Coyotes. Shell companies. They're not just buying land. They're building infrastructure, roads, power stations, water treatment plants. For what? Best guess? New city. Right on the border. Legitimate business up front, cartel operations behind the scenes, perfect laundering operation. Using my ranch as what? The center? More like an obstacle. Your land splits their territory. They need it. Gone. Ethan parks outside the bank. More changes. New cameras, better security. Someone's investing heavily in this town. Inside, the manager greets him nervously. Mr. Cole, we were just about to call you. Problem? Not exactly. Someone's trying. To buy your mortgage. Offering well above market value. I don't have a mortgage. Paid cash. The manager swallows. Yes, sir. That's what I told them. They seemed displeased. Back outside, Ethan feels eyes on him. Watchers in parked cars, on rooftops. Professional surveillance. His phone buzzes. Text from Sophie. Dad, something weird at school. Men in suits. Talking to the principal. Taking pictures of everything. Another text follows. Unknown number. Progress is inevitable, Mr. Cole. The only question is the cost. Ethan drives home, mind working. This enemy's different, subtler, using money and influence instead of bullets. Ray's waiting at the ranch. Got those land records. It's worse than we thought. They're building a grid. Power, water, roads, all leading to your property. Trying to box me in. More than that. They're buying the town, piece by piece. Soon you'll be surrounded by their infrastructure, their people, their law. Ethan's phone rings. El Coyote again. See what we're building, Mr. Cole? The future. You can be part of it. Or progress will flow around you like a river around a stone, until the stone is worn away to nothing. Ethan watches the sun set over his land. You're forgetting something. Oh? Stones can break rivers. He ends the call, goes to his study, opens his laptop to satellite images Mitchell sent, studies the pattern of development, the flow of money. They're right about one thing. This isn't about drugs or protection rackets anymore. This is about empire building, about reshaping the border itself. His phone buzzes one last time. Another text. Consider this a formal offer, $50 million, 1 hour to decide. Ethan doesn't bother responding, just keeps studying the maps, the patterns, looking for weak points, for pressure points. They think money makes them untouchable. Think progress is unstoppable. Time to teach them otherwise. Sophie finds him still working past midnight. They're not going to stop, are they? No. So what do we do? Ethan looks up at his daughter, seeing the strength in her, the steel. We remind them why some stones are better left alone. Outside, construction crews work through the night, building their future, their empire, not knowing they're building their own destruction. The war is changing, becoming something new. But Ethan Cole has fought many kinds of wars, and he's never lost one yet. Morning brings the sound of heavy machinery. Construction crews working at the edge of Ethan's property. Building the future whether he likes it or not. His phone displays Mitchell's latest intel. Blueprints for something massive, not just a city, a metropolis. Hotels, casinos, shopping centers, all perfectly legitimate on paper. But Ethan sees the hidden infrastructure, the secret rooms, the tunnels, a massive laundering operation disguised as economic development. Ray arrives with coffee and worse news. They're calling a town meeting tonight, special session about economic development. Word is they're offering jobs, good ones, buying. Loyalty, smart play, hard to fight progress when it's feeding people's families. Ethan studies the blueprints again. Something catches his eye. Water management plans. The whole project depends on controlling the watershed, and the main aquifer runs right through his land. His phone rings. El Coyote. Time's up, Mr. Cole. Do we have a deal? Counteroffer. Ethan's voice is steel. I know about the aquifer. Your entire project dies without water rights. A pause. Impressive research, but irrelevant. We'll get the water one way or another. Try it. He ends the call, already moving. Sophie's at school, secure with her detail. Time to work. First stop, County Records Office. The clerk is new, expensive suit, cartel payroll. But money talks both ways. An hour later, Ethan has what he needs. Water rights documentation dating. Back a century. His land isn't just blocking their project, it's the key to everything. His phone buzzes. Mitchell again. Got movement. El Coyote's people are mobilizing. Different this time. Lawyers, bureaucrats, politicians. Let them come. Ethan drives to the bank next. The manager's sweating before he sits down. Mr. Cole, about the mortgage situation. I'm here to discuss water rights. Ethan places ancient documents on the desk. And how much they're worth. The manager's eyes widen. These are original deeds. My land controls the entire watershed, which means I control all future development. They'll try to force you out. Eminent domain. Let them try. Outside, more watchers. Suits instead of soldiers now. Taking pictures. Making calls. His phone rings. Unknown number. Very clever, Mr. Cole. A woman's voice, sharp as a blade. I'm Elizabeth Kane, legal counsel for Southwest Development Corporation. The front company. A legitimate business enterprise. We're prepared to offer you $75 million for the water rights alone, plus continued ownership of your ranch. Not interested. Mr. Cole, be reasonable. This development is happening. The only question is whether you profit from it or, a delicate pause, suffer unfortunate consequences, such as environmental violations, health code infractions, banking irregularities. So many ways for a small ranch to run afoul of regulations. Ethan smiles coldly. Sounds like harassment. Sounds like progress. Inevitable progress. He ends the call, drives to the construction site, watches them build their dream of the future. His phone buzzes. Text from Sophie. Dad, something's happening at school. Board of Health inspectors just shut down the cafeteria. Principal says we might have to close. Another text follows. The other ranchers are talking. Their kids' schools too. Banks calling in loans. Health inspections failing. They're squeezing. The whole town. Turning everyone against him. Ray calls next. Jesus, Ethan, they're playing hardball. Just got word. State regulators are reviewing my department's funding, talking about jurisdictional redistricting. They're trying to isolate us. It's working. Town's scared. These people have reach. Ethan drives home, mind working. They're right. He can't fight progress. Can't fight money and influence with bullets. But every empire has a weakness. Every corporation has secrets. His phone rings. El Coyote. See how it works, Mr. Cole? No violence, no threats, just the inevitable tide of progress. How long before the town turns against you completely? You're right. Ethan's voice is calm. Can't fight progress. Finally seeing reason? No, just seeing your weakness. Oh? Progress needs paperwork, permits, licenses, environmental impact studies. Ethan smiles. Wonder what happens when those leak. A moment of silence. You're bluffing. Mitchell's good at his job. Every shell company, every bribe, every secret account, ready to go to every agency and newspaper in 2 countries. You'll never prove, don't need to prove, just need to cause delays, investigations. How? Many years can your investors wait while bureaucrats dig through every permit? More silence, then you'd destroy the town's future out of spite? No. I'd protect it from becoming your personal money laundering operation. He ends the call, goes to his laptop, opens files Mitchell found, endless paperwork showing the truth. Behind their legitimate business. His phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. War room meeting. Boss is pissed. Says to take the gloves off. Wrong number. Meant for someone else. But now he knows they're moving to endgame, Sophie calls. Dad, all these men in suits at school, they're closing it down. Something about structural problems. Come home. Now. But now. He can see them gathering. Cars full of suits. Cars full of soldiers, coming to show him what happens when you stand in the way of progress. Ethan Cole walks his land as the sun sets. They think they've won, think they can bury him in paperwork and regulations. Time to remind them that some problems can't be solved with lawyers. Some wars require a more direct approach. His phone buzzes one last time. El Coyote, last chance, Mr. Cole. Take the money, or tomorrow we show you what real power looks like. Ethan sends back 2 words, bring it. Then he goes to prepare, not with guns this time, but with truth, and truth properly applied can be the deadliest weapon of all. Dawn breaks over a town under siege, not with guns or soldiers, but with men in expensive suits carrying briefcases. Health inspectors close restaurants. Building inspectors condemn structures. Banks foreclose on loans. Ethan watches from his truck as people gather outside town hall. Angry voices, scared faces, signs demanding progress, development, jobs. His phone buzzes. Mitchell, package delivered to every major news outlet. State and federal agencies too. Give it an hour. They'll try to bury it, not this time. Too big. Too many agencies, too many reporters hungry for a story about corruption and cartels. Ethan drives to the school. Sophie's already outside, watching suited men place condemned notices on the doors. Her expression is pure steel, her father's daughter. They're saying it's your fault, she says as he pulls up, that you're destroying the town's future. Are they? She meets his eyes. They don't know you very well. His phone rings. Elizabeth Kane, the lawyer. What have you done? Her composure cracks. Do you have any idea? Released the truth. That's all. The truth? You've just triggered investigations that will take years, cost thousands of jobs, destroy your money laundering operation, your human trafficking routes, your drug tunnels disguised as utility corridors. Silence. Then, you're going to regret this. No, you are. He ends the call. Drives to the town meeting with Sophie. Inside, the room is packed. El Coyote's people control the stage. Architects showing beautiful designs. Economists promising prosperity. Then, phones start buzzing. People checking news alerts. Murmurs spread through the crowd. On stage, the presenters look increasingly nervous. Ray shoulders through the crowd. Ethan, it's hitting everywhere. FBI's already called. DEA, Treasury Department. Ethan stands. All eyes turn to him. You want to know the truth about their progress? His voice carries to every corner. Show them, Sophie. She connects her laptop to the projector. Mitchell's files fill the screen. Shell companies, secret accounts, architectural plans showing hidden rooms, concealed tunnels, false walls. They're not building a future, they're building a fortress, a cartel operations center disguised as a city. The crowd erupts. El Coyote's people try to shut down the presentation, but it's too late. The truth is out. Ethan's phone rings. El Coyote himself. You have no idea what you've done. Shown people the truth. Truth? Real anger now. Truth is power. Truth is money. Truth is watching your ranch burn while federal agents waste years investigating shadows. Look outside. Through the town hall windows, a convoy of black SUVs approaches. But not cartel vehicles, federal agents, multiple agencies. You see, that's the thing about truth, Ethan continues. Once it's out, it has to be investigated, every permit checked, every document reviewed, every dollar traced. You think this stops us? We have politicians, judges. Had. Amazing how fast support disappears when indictments start flying. The federal agents enter the town hall. Elizabeth Kane is already being led out in handcuffs. Others follow. This isn't over. Ellie. Coyote snarls. Check your accounts. A pause. Sound of furious typing. What did you... Mitchell's good with computers. Every account frozen. Every asset seized. Every escape route closed. Ethan's voice hardens. You tried to take my land, threaten my daughter, destroy my town. Now you learn why that was a mistake. Through the window, he watches more agents arrive, more arrests. The empire of progress crumbling under the weight of truth. I'll find you, El Coyote promises. This isn't about money anymore. This is personal. Good, because now you learn the difference between a man protecting profits and a father protecting his family. Sophie approaches with Ray. More news alerts flooding in. The story's gone national, international. Dad? She points to her phone. They found something under the construction site. Tunnels? Bodies. Ethan nods. The truth has a way of surfacing. His phone buzzes one last time. Mitchell. El Coyote's running. Private jet filed a flight plan for Venezuela. Let him run. Ethan watches his neighbors hugging, crying, realizing how close they came to losing everything. He'll be back. You sure? Men like him can't let go, can't admit defeat. He puts an arm around Sophie. Let him come. The federal agents work through the day, boxes of documents, hard drives, witnesses finally ready to talk. Ray joins them for dinner that night. Town's a bit shell-shocked, realizing how close we came to becoming a cartel stronghold. They'll recover, thanks to you. Ray studies his old friend. But El Coyote's still out there. His kind of money, his kind of connections. This isn't over. No. Ethan looks out over his land as the sun sets. But next time, he'll understand something important. What's that? Some things are stronger than money, than progress, than power. He meets Sophie's eyes, sees his own strength reflected there. Some things are worth fighting for. His phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. You'll never see me coming. Ethan doesn't bother responding, just saves the number, adds it to his list. Let him come. Some wars end quickly, in fire and blood. Others take longer, fought with truth and persistence and the strength of knowing you're right. But all wars end eventually, and Ethan Cole will be ready when this one does. 3 months later, the ranch blooms under summer sun, new grass covers, the construction scars, fresh paint on rebuilt barns. On the surface, peace has returned. Ethan stands at his fence line watching federal agents sweep the abandoned development site. They're still finding things, still uncovering secrets. His phone buzzes. Mitchell. Got movement. El Coyote surfaced in Paraguay, meeting with what's left of the cartel leadership. Planning something? Always. But they're scared now. Your little truth bomb didn't just expose their operation. It exposed their whole network. Federal investigations in 12 countries. Ray's patrol car kicks up dust on the approach. He looks different these days. Prouder. Town's become a symbol of standing up to cartels. Got something you need to see. He hands over a file. Crime scene photos from south of the border. 3 of El Coyote's lieutenants, dead in expensive hotel rooms. Someone's cleaning house. Internal power struggle? Maybe. Or maybe someone's tying up loose ends. Ray lowers his voice. Ellen Kane, the lawyer, found dead in her cell yesterday. Made to look like suicide. Ethan studies the photos, notes the precision of the kills, the professional methodology. El Coyote's cutting ties, starting fresh. Think he's done with us? No, just changing tactics. Inside, Sophie's making breakfast. She moves easier now, less haunted. The steel's still there, but tempered with hope. News said they found more tunnels, she says, sliding eggs onto his plate. Under the school this time. Your principal still giving you trouble? Not since. The FBI interviewed him, she grins. Amazing how finding cartel money in your offshore accounts changes your attitude. His phone rings. Unknown international number. Good morning, Mr. Cole. El Coyote's voice, but different, harder. I owe you congratulations. Very impressive work. Calling. To surrender? A cold laugh. Calling to educate. You see, I've learned something valuable from our encounter. The importance of patience, of proper preparation. That why you're killing your own people? Cleaning house? Starting fresh? Building something better? A pause. You taught me that, Mr. Cole. The value of truth, of having nothing to hide. What? Do you want? To thank you. And to promise you something. His voice drops lower. What comes next will be different. No thugs, no corruption, nothing to expose. Just legitimate business, perfect paperwork, and absolutely unstoppable progress. Still won't win, won't I? You beat the cartel, Mr. Cole, congratulations. But you can't beat the future, and I am the future. The line goes dead. Ethan stares at his phone, thinking. Ray watches him. What's he planning? Something new, something we can't fight with truth or guns. Can he do it? Really come back clean? Ethan looks out over his land, remembers all the battles fought to keep it. He'll try, but men like that can't help themselves. Power corrupts. Greed corrupts. He'll make mistakes. And when he does, we'll be ready. The day unfolds peacefully. Sophie rides fence lines with ranch hands. Cattle graze in green pastures. On the surface, everything's normal, but Ethan feels it coming. The next wave, the next war. His phone buzzes with news alerts. Major development company buying land near the border, clean money, perfect permits. American-owned. Mitchell calls again. Found something. El Coyote's been busy. New identity, new corporation. Everything legitimate on paper. Name? James Morrison, CEO of Phoenix Development Corporation. Ethan saves the name, adds it to his list. Keep watching. That night, he stands on his porch with Sophie, watching stars emerge. He's not going to stop, is he? She asks. No, but he's scared now, moving careful. Good. She checks her phone. My friends in town, their parents are getting offers, jobs with the new development company, clean money, good benefits. History repeating, but different this time. She meets his eyes. We're different too. Ethan nods, feeling the truth of it. They've changed, grown stronger, learned to fight with more than guns. His phone buzzes one last time, a text from El Coyote's new number. Progress is inevitable, Mr. Cole. The only question is whether you'll profit from it or be destroyed by it. Ethan doesn't respond, just watches the stars with his daughter, feeling the weight of his gun and the strength of his conviction. Some men can't be bought. Some land can't be taken. Some lines can't be crossed. Let him come with his clean money and perfect papers. Let him build his legitimate empire. The truth finds a way. Justice finds a way. And Ethan Cole will be waiting when it does, because some wars don't end with victory or defeat. They just evolve, becoming something new, something deeper. But that's a story for another day. For now, there's peace on the ranch, stars in the Texas sky, and a father and daughter standing strong on land. That's theirs. Let tomorrow bring what it will. They'll be ready.